We are back following our conversation last time from all of these planets being in Shravana. And today we wanted to expand on other aspects of Shravana, which include music. And me and PT, I will put his links below. He has a wonderful band and they've come out with videos and it's all recorded live and it's all organic instrumentation, and we're both musicians. We love music and we devote so much of our life to it. So I think it's a beautiful time to talk about that aspect of Shravana, which is music.
Yes, yes. Um, the thing with this is that like music first is sound, right? First, like that's what I first, because when people talk about music, then people get lost and think so it's notes and this or that, and this theory and all of that. And I like to strip it down to a basic aspect. There is sound, right? At the bottom, the baseline of music is sound. So then sound has quality. Okay, so different kind of sounds have different kind of qualities. Okay, so before people go into music, I just wanted to go more into this sound aspect, like because in today's world, people who are into sound and who actually care about sound quality are called audiophiles, right? Audio file. Okay, which to me is a good term. That means the file means phi, means golden ratio. Okay, you care about your sonics, what goes into your ear. Okay, like you actually care about it. Okay, what is the quality of? Because we are living in times where the quality of sound has actually gone down. Okay, over like the decades. Like for example, in 40s, 50s, you had tube amps, you know, and they were not mass produced, and whatever um, the technology was, and whatever parts were being used, whatever the materials were being used, the best quality. Okay, so they had good sonic things for production and reproduction of sounds, both, you know. So and then the 60s came, and still something good was there at some point. Like it degraded a little bit, but not so much. Tube amps were still there. Then came transistors. Okay, so tubes were replaced by transistors. Then one step down happened in sound. Okay, in 70s. Okay, this tubes still continued, thankfully, and we still had tape. Tape came. Tape was a good thing because it's cellulose, so it's like wood bark. And then came 80s, which was more machine beats. Okay, and then came ICs, basically integrated circuits, not just transistors. Okay, so thing became more and more digital until the 90s. We came to the CD. Okay, and so this was the like a degeneration, I would consider, of sound quality actually, which was happening, over time. And now we are at mobile ringtone level in since 2000s. Okay, which is which is like MIDI files, um, which is like not like any kind of proper sound at all. Like I mean, it's it's not proper sound in any way, shape, or form. So just increasing your, like, people are very concerned about increasing the quality of food they eat. For example, now people have become more aware of what they put into their mouths, right? Over the last 15 years, like what they put into the mouth, but they don't apply the same standards to what they put into the ears. It's a strange thing, but it is a fact, like, so right now people listen to even some of our things on the mobile, like, my Lotus Ocean music, like, which we put in the Lotus Ocean website, which you said was all live and organic, but they listen to it on a mobile. Like, I mean, how will a mobile speaker capture that kind of thing, Julie? Like, I mean, it's just like just the thing that we have to have proper sound quality, for
Absolutely.
our ears.
And in one of our last talks, you mentioned that our
Yeah,
body is earth. It's
yeah,
that is its main material, and it takes me back to somatics. And when you
yeah,
vibrate specific frequencies over sand, for example, it
yeah,
creates these patterns. And
yeah,
that's how much of a profound effect music and frequency has on our body
yeah.
and on our energy. That's why a song can put us in a great mood or make us start crying for whatever reason. So it's utterly
Yes,
important to focus your music to be of a higher vibration so that way you can continue to rise vibrationally.
yes, yes. And people think always it's about just the frequency. Frequency is just one thing, pitch, like 532 hertz. Now people say, I'm just going to have this sound for 532 hertz. Okay. And that's it. And that'll be my meditation sound. Okay. But my point is, it's not just 532 hertz or this, it is about the quality of the sound. If you put it on a synthesizer and you make a 532 word sounds and it's plasticky, it'll stay plasticky only. It's not going to be organic,
And
you
for
know.
example, like if you
Yeah.
have, let's say, 532 hertz, and then you're doing like a screamo, like hard rock punk music that's
Yeah.
like angry, it's still going to stress you out.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. What I'm saying is that the quality of the instrument you use, the amps you're using, and everything will finally come into play. There's this word quality of sound is needs to come back not just for audiophiles, which are few in number around the world. You know what I'm saying, especially in the West. Like, if, but there are some. But why should not everyone be a audiophile? Like, you know, why? Why is it like only few people care about what goes into their ears? Okay, I mean, everyone should. You know, like, especially even if you're streaming. For example, it's a very simple thing. If you have a mobile, for example, right now, or anything, and if you want to listen to music nicely through that, connect it to an old radio, like, you know, old radios from 50s and 60s. They have ports. You can connect your mobile straight into them, and then you'll have a tube system. You'll
Oh,
go through the tubes and you'll go through those speakers, and you'll have a like listening experience like you've never had before. Okay.
didn't they used to use these tubes to try to communicate with the other side?
Yes, yes. But those tube radios now on eBay and stuff, you can get cheaply. Okay, because people don't know what to do with them.
Warmer
They're big,
speakers.
yeah, they're big wooden things, right? Like big wooden ones with nice speakers and tube systems. And all you have to do is connect a wire from your mobile straight into that.
It's
Okay,
perfect. Yeah.
it's not very tough to do that. Okay, this is one of the tips. And like, for example, in my sounds, I try to use the best possible sounds and things which on earth you can find, like the best possible equipment and stuff. But there's no use for that until people listen to it in something better too. If they listen to it on a mobile or something like that. Even there now for headphones, there are tube amps, little tube amps. So
Oh, wow.
so that makes a lot of difference. So from your laptop, if you have that thing signal out and USB, and then you can put it to that tube amp or
Okay,
Bluetooth.
I'll try to get the info for that and also put that in the link because
Yeah.
I would definitely want to get that.
Yeah, and then you get it through your headphones. It will change your headphone listening experience.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is there are a lot of ways you can improve what is going into your ears. Okay. So before music, people have to start going into quality of sound. And obviously, music industry never cared about that. Okay, over the years, they had no interest in it. Okay, it's just like whatever sells, doesn't matter. First you have wave files when you have CDs, okay, and then when you get into the file world, you got MP3s. Now MP3s are lower qualities than wave files, right? And after MP3s come the ringtone sort of level, which is like absolute, like no definition and nothing. There's no content in there at all. It hardly carries anything, information. Like, so the point is all of this degradation which has happened, and people have just taken it because they thought like only music is important. The tune will be still a tune, right? Whether tune is in high quality or in a MIDI file, tune will be still the same tune. So as long as people get the tune, people are happy, you know. But but tune is the very small part of music, you know. In fact, it is the most insignificant part. Okay, sound and sound quality is the most significant part, actually.
And where does analog fit into all this?
Okay, analog is okay. Whenever you record, okay, music right now, you record digitally, right? You know, like you go into Pro Tools and whatever, and files get created. Okay, so for example, digital thing always has a coldness to it, harsh coldness. Okay, so if you, for example, if you go buy one of the old tapes, you know, tape decks, you know, where you used to put a cassette and play. Try to listen to any album on the that tape, and try to hear the same song through YouTube on that thing, and press it through the YouTube. You will find a huge difference. Okay, that's digital and that's analog. Okay, now within your computer laptop itself, there is a digital to analog converter. Okay, which finally gives you an output through to your headphones. Where your headphone out is, that is the analog output.
Nice.
Okay, so that is called digital to analog converter. Okay, now even there are very expensive digital to analog converters, because if you use external ones, because that's a huge thing to convert digital to analog or analog to digital. You can have a room full of computers just doing that to do that properly. You know,
Well, I
yeah.
do
But you, yeah,
I have the duet interface, and there's a
yeah,
setting on it which allows
yeah,
you to either record in analog or digital. So
yeah,
if people out
yeah,
there do music, that's an option to switch your
yeah.
music into a warmer sound too.
Analog and the DACs and ADCs are very important in that. So my point is that like best to record in analog also, like my album and stuff, and we recorded in analog like tape and stuff. Now that is the best sound. But when you're reproducing it nowadays, finally you'll have to convert it to digital to get it onto internet and everything like that, right? Okay. But when people take that digital thing and then they can convert it back to analog using a good DAC and then put it through a tube amp and proper speakers, and then they will have a similar sort of listening experience as the recording was. Okay, so there is a way. So there is a way
Thank you
to
for
do that.
laying that out. I'm literally going to do all those steps, and I'm going to
Yeah.
see, what
Yes.
it's like.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, yeah. Even when you be listening to loads of social music and B Omega music, and you can see if you listen to the same thing through a tube amp and stuff and the proper speakers, you will hear the difference yourself. Oh, all these frequencies I was not hearing. Oh,
Oh,
this sounds so much warmer. It sounds so much more better for my ears. It's like you have to take care of your ears and what you put into it. So that analog warmth, like tube sound has a warmth to it, just like the fireplace. you
yeah.
know it's like that, like sitting by the fireplace and cold, it's like that. So that, what does that to the body? In the same way this does to your ears. you know so there's a huge that thing. And in tube amps also, like the modern tube amps, now tube amps came back in guitars and amplifiers and stuff,
Mhm.
because in people realized they were better. That's why they came back. But now they're making the modern ones, they're tube, but they still have ICs, so their circuits are not so good, so they're still cold.
What is it called? ICs?
Integrated circuits,
Oh,
ICs.
okay.
So instead of using capacitors, old tube amps used to use resistors, capacitors. Okay. Okay. Now, instead of using capacitors and stuff, they're using ICs, resistance, which are integrated circuits, which
Mm.
is not really required to make an amplifier. You know, it just creates complication around the board. You know, it is not for giving the actual sound out properly. You know, there's a lot of data loss and digital noise which comes in between
Why
when
do
you
they
use
do
this.
that?
I mean, it was just make everything smaller, smaller, smaller at the time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like you have something this big, we want to make it this. Okay, and then we want to make it this big. Okay, like right now in your mobile, you have such a small speaker, such a small sound card. You can imagine how tiny that whole thing is. You can't have any resistors and capacitors there. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. So you have to have ICs only.
Oh, okay.
Okay, okay. So that was the whole thing. But tube amps, I've seen stereo tube amps which are just this big.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I mean that's not very big. Like, I mean, it's okay like to have a amp this big. Okay, and when they made transistors, they wanted to make it even smaller. That's all in the 70s, and that's because transistors are smaller than tubes. Okay, so it was just a matter of this kind of making things smaller and smaller, not better. let's let's understand the not better, just smaller. But why do you need? I mean, you have a house. Like, why do you need something to be that small? You know,
Like a tiny
like
house.
yeah. I mean, you want better sound quality. Like if you're making a pan, like a pan or something, you can't keep on making a pan this big. What will you eat in it, and what will you cook in it? Like I mean, it just makes no sense at the end of the day. Finally, all it led to was loss of sound quality. And people just got used to it. People got used to. Some people, when the CDs first came, in 90s, people were like, "Oh, I can't handle this. This is too edgy, the sound." Okay, but after 5-10 years of people got used to that.
Mhm.
After that came mobile sort of things, and then people were thought, "Oh, what is this sound? This crap." But after 5-10 years, they get used to that.
That's right.
Okay, so it's like just getting used to worse and worse forms of sounds.
Mhm.
Making your peace with it. That's all. Oh, this is how it is now. Like I'll just that thing. You know.
Yeah.
So if you just put in a little bit of effort, even using a mobile or a laptop now, you can have a good sound if you connected to a proper DAC or tube amp, you know, or the radios I said, like old radios, like which is I often use my laptop with that, you know, and you just connect it to that, and that's it.
Exactly.
You have a cheap and a very high quality sound source. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Something that I'm really enjoying, I'm working on and I'm recording my fifth album right now. And in all
yeah,
the previous ones, what's happened over the time is with the technology, it's great in many ways because it makes it accessible for anyone to be able to produce and create music in an
yeah,
affordable way. But one of the
yeah,
negative aspects of that can be having it become, if you don't know the right way to go about it, making it more mechanical and less human. And so
listen,
you inspired me so much. I did a song totally inspired by you called Flowering Consciousness, which you saw,
yes,
which was
yes,
found by you. And then the idea just kind of rolled out from there. And this album, every instrument I'm touching and playing it myself and putting in the
yeah,
human feel and the human groove that can't be replicated. And
yes,
it's
that's good.
phenomenal because you
Yes,
feel it in your body and it translates too. I can't really explain it, but it's
yes,
palpable.
yes, 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 Julie. The thing with this is that human beat and sense is not like a machine. You know, when you use a machine beat,
I
it's
saw
always like
the tempo.
exact. Yeah, exact. Like, so if you start using click tracks, it all went wrong with click tracks in studios. Okay, there were times before like 60s where albums were recorded without click tracks. Okay, you don't need a click track. You don't need a tempo. You can change the tempo anytime. You can have 120 sometimes, 140 sometimes, 115 sometimes, 150. You can organically change the tempo anytime. Like like a human being breathes in and out. It's organic. It doesn't have to be some sort of robotic machine beat. You
Yes,
know.
and how you correlate that with the heartbeat, and you say that it actually can interfere with the natural rhythm of the heartbeat. That you
Yes,
want
yes,
things to be more like that, and that was another change that I implemented. I took the tempos out of everything, the click
yeah,
tracks, and
yeah,
just went with the feel and followed the sound of it. And it's
yeah,
just personally, it's been the most like probably the most fulfilling experience I've had creating. And with the drums, having the drum be more organic like that
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, because the tempo also you can change in a song. You're allowed to change tempo in a song. Even within 1 minute piece, you're allowed to change it 10 times if you so wish. There's no rule like the tempo has to stay the same for 60 seconds or 30 seconds or that. I mean, that's because that's how the feel happens actually. You know, and like if you do a song organically and the people put a tempo meter on it, they'll say, oh, this is this now. Oh, this is that now. Oh, this is this now. Oh, this is changed again now. But that's how it would be. Like, I mean, that's how it should be. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you know, for me, music and stuff, sound was connecting to the elements and stuff. You know, I was like about creating like storms or rainbows or having different kind of feedback from nature
Mm.
in relation to sound. So that is another aspect. That's like, but people, I think, on a normal plane should first start with sound quality. You know, just increasing sound quality and making it more organic, like you have done, making it more organic. Now, like you can like record, like get a old style tape recorder, okay, and record yourself on that, and hear yourself back. You'll enjoy it. You know, you'll enjoy the kind of warmth which comes out of it. You know, so and then maybe use that recording into your, you know, that thing. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
yeah, yeah,
another thing
yeah,
is incorporating more nature sounds also into the
yeah,
music.
yes, and like because the tape you record on, like the tape, which is the tape, is just cellulose. It's just like tree bark. It's like wood pulp.
Oh,
Okay, so you're that thing when you record on that, it gives it a more organic feel than anything. You know, like there are some cameras also which use that kind of tape. You know, like we always use those cameras for recording, like HC3, some Sony had a series which have those old tapes, which they're digital tapes, but they're tapes still. So tape always gives a warmth to something. You know, it adds that organic element. Okay, so that's an important thing which I have found to like if you record like that and use that recording then into the file whichever you use using on the computer, you use that for and it'll carry more of the feel and, you know, vibe, you know. So
absolutely. I love
yeah,
that. I would love it if we could have a revolution and all musicians started gearing the creation of their music into these warmer
yeah,
frequencies.
Yeah, finally, because there's been a thing about what you put into your mouth, right? There has been a lot of people have left meat and become that thing, and people have become more and more concerned about what food they should eat, right? And there has been a awareness, some awareness about that over in the last 15 years, but that has not translated to sound, you know. So, I mean, we have to have a sound revolution now, like basically, like where all people, like not just people who are musicians, people who are listening, they care about what goes into their ears. Okay, so they make whatever device they have, right now, like mobiles and laptops or whatever, and then they turn it into better from that even source. You can even take a like MP3 file from a mobile and make it sound the best it can. So you can do that, and then obviously once you go that, then you will try to tape will come back more into that things, vinyls will come back more, and everything will start coming back more because demand supply, right?
Mm.
That's the thing, and I think then an alternative thing will happen in this. It will happen because we have reached the lowest point of sound quality
Yeah.
in this last 10 years, and things have to improve because it is too much junk now, you know. And after a while, when the junk is so much, then there's, the stomach goes bad and only vomiting happens. When you eat too much junk food, right? Like final result is that, so then something has to change, and we are at that point. I personally think that whole the sound thinking as a whole has to come before the word music is even mentioned, you know because if you don't have, like, because music right now, there are notes, right? Okay, now A is this much and B is this frequency, that whatever, like now, but like people use A440, people use for a long time. Now people want to use the A432 because better numbers come, 108 and all of those. So the standard A tuning is now 432. A lot of people are changing that. That's good. Okay,
Yeah,
but they should care about this sound quality too,
absolutely.
not just the frequency, and that's a good thing because finally notes can be anything in the Indian classical system. There are microtonals. There are different kind of, yeah,
That's another
yeah,
thing that
yeah,
I want to harp on for a second. I've been studying the Western and the Eastern, and
yeah,
there's more richness in the Eastern
yeah.
musical scales. There's so many notes, quarter notes,
Quarter notes, yeah,
between, and there's so
in
much
between,
richness in that that's
yeah,
completely lost in the
yeah,
Western. So I actually got this program that
yeah,
is able to translate all of my single octave and bring
yeah,
in all of those semi notes and everything. So I've been
yes, yeah,
playing with those
yeah.
scales for the first time, and me being growing up in the Western world, it's
It's
magical.
a new whole new world, right? It's a
Yeah,
whole new world, and that's so. Then it tells you that no tuning. There's no tuning exactly. Every tuning is the right tuning. It depends on your ear. Okay, so there's no one way to tune a guitar, like people tune E, A, D, G, B, or whatever. There are millions. I mean, I tune my guitar so many other ways, like all the time. Like I don't use any standard tuning at all. So personally, like people don't even know like what it is, and it will not be the any standard Western tuning at all. You know, so but then they'll say, "Oh, this is out of tune." Like it's not out of tune. It's just not in the tune you are used to. That that's all it is.
mhm.
Okay, so like to understand that, like the music has to completely change from the chains it has been in. It has been in very rigid chains of these uh, particular frequency notes and things like that, and just moving from that, like those 12 of them, just here and there. That's not all music is. It's more of a soundscaping thing. And if you notice in my sound, there's a lot of soundscaping. Just like sounds are just happening. It's just like a feel of sound, a field of sound. Just that's it. Like nothing else. And you don't lose that this is A or B or C. You can't go D or anything like that in that. I mean, that field carries so many different notational patterns that you can never pinpoint any such. And you can't write this on a piece of paper. Like a real music for me is that you can't write it on a piece of paper, like at
That's
all.
what's something that I love about your music, which really makes it stand out for me, is that
Yeah,
it's much more, it's never steady, it's never stagnant, it's always moving. And for me, I really feel a lot of the emotional changeability and energetic changeability. So
yeah, yeah,
in the song, you can feel, and then it goes on a journey, and it's never like the standard song that keeps the tempo,
yeah.
and here's the chorus and verse,
and
verse,
and
and
and the notes exact, like people want to stick to exact notes, and if they're not in the notes, the auto tuner puts you back onto the note.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
okay,
hate that. I hate that.
yeah, yes. So what I'm saying is all of this, you know, it's a huge problem we have had and with constriction. But I think there will come a time when people, again, an alternative thing will happen in this, where
Mm.
people will give up all these things, go for good quality sound, and just go for whole sound things. And because sound also as a thing for healing and actually affecting you positively, you
Mm.
know. And I don't play any kind of emotional things, like people think like, negative emotions or people just struggling or that thing or dramas and this and that kind of thing. That's not my music.
Mm.
So, because that people are already in that negativity. Why do you want to increase that?
Yes, same with the
Yeah,
lyrics that people sing about. Be very cautious of the lyrics you're listening to.
yeah,
I would love to
yeah,
listen to people that are speaking and praising higher divine, things that are going
yeah.
to make you more aware.
Positive, positive,
Yes.
positive. Not you're a negative mess and take you further into that negative pool. I
Mhm.
mean, if you're feeling negative, you don't have to share that with the whole world. Okay. If you're feeling positive, you can share that. Okay. Like Jim said. And that's all it's about sharing, isn't it? When you do music, you take it out, then you're sharing it with the whole world.
Yeah, the
You know?
message is
So
important.
so why to have this negative karma of sharing negativity with the world? Because that creates more negative karma for you.
Mm.
Why do that? Okay, like so that is an important thing which people who take out music have to understand. So that is something for them to consider. You know, so so this will be happen more like just like people don't want to buy like rotten vegetables, right? When you go to the shop, you don't want to buy something which is stinking and is rotten. You want to buy fresh stuff which is smelling good and feeling good, right? So same should be with music, right? I mean,
Yeah. I find
yeah,
too that music is a great reflection of where somebody is at energetically. There's no
yeah,
coincidence that a lot of people that listen to a lot of like scream heavy metal rock,
yeah,
a lot of them dress in black, they're
yeah,
depressed, they're angry, and I see
yeah.
the reflection of the music with the person so many
Yeah,
times.
obviously. I mean, obviously, like but there's more to it. Like if people are like somebody's an alcoholic, like a raging alcoholic, and they make some music, and other people listen to that music. Now that music will pull those people towards alcohol. You need a lot of discipline to not go. So a lot of people will start boozing just
How
by listening to it,
interesting.
boozing by listening to it. Because it's pushing you in that. Like, because that vibration, that vibe is there.
Oh,
Okay, but people don't consider all of that. The quality of the music maker percolates into the music, right? Okay. And then it percolates into the listener.
mhm.
Okay. And then you stand outside of it. Requires a lot of work and determination. So most people, whatever they listen to, they get affected by that. And mostly it's negatively because the people who are making the music are in negative vibration. That they either into a lot of drugs, alcohol, or depression, or things like that. So and that's what the biggest artists of this world have been in the last 50 years
Yeah.
or 60 years. You
Severely
know,
mind controlled,
yeah,
traumatized, involved in
yeah.
Satanism.
And yeah. I mean, and just on the negative, like spiral themselves.
Hmm?
So, like there was a line in the Nina Nani song which I had like I see nothing but zeros. All these heroes, but I see nothing but zeros. Okay, but because it is not good for the masses. You know, I mean, all these things are the same as all the lies which have been fed to the masses. Like
Yeah, it's a
about the
form of mind programming for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that in the Britney Spears era, definitely
yeah,
for me and my generation, so
yes,
many of us were programmed by Britney Spears, and when she became all overtly sexualized,
yeah,
it
yeah,
made all of us overtly sexualized, and we started
yeah,
dressing provocatively
yeah,
and
yeah.
and hooking up with all of these people, thinking that it was normal, and it's
Cool. It was cool. It
yeah,
was
like
cool
it was
because
normal, and
cool
it's
because they
putting in the Babylonian spell onto the young
yeah,
children.
yeah, because they decide what is cool, right?
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, and then people listen to it. But worst thing is this sound which is going in. And what it plays with your mind, because sound goes inside and it programs your mind.
Yes.
Okay, that's a fact. Okay, like even science, whatever so-called science, even whatever, they will have to agree to that fact. You know that this is the case. That And people have to be very wary, so they have to, they will come a point now, they should be starting where people care about that thing, because even so-called spiritual music on YouTube and stuff, which I'll go into so many things, and it's mostly synthesizers and bad MIDI files and all digital stuff, all done on with click tracks, and that's not spiritual.
Mm.
So even the so-called spiritual music thing is all filled up with this plastic stuff, like all over, and that's called spiritual music, meditation music, and all of that. It's nothing organic about it at all anymore. So people have to be careful in that. Like, just because some label has been given doesn't mean it's that. You know, you have to actually know the basics yourself. What, like, is this that thing? Is this more organic? Is this more that thing? Like how people started seeing in food, right? They didn't want GMO seeds. They didn't want the hybrid seeds. They didn't want fertilizers and manure, like used fertilizers and these kind of things, pesticides and all of that on the food, right? And that's when it's called organic, when none of those things are there, right? Okay, these are actual things. The same applies to sounds too. Okay, so they should not go by the labels. So there's spiritual music, healing music, and this music and that music, when, like, because they understand extremes fine. Like, they can understand, oh, this is death metal, this is bad for you. Okay, but then suddenly comes this spiritual music, and they'll think this is good. They have no idea that this is made in the same way, or even worse. I mean, death metal might use some actual instruments. This is not using anything or actual people. You know, so it can be even worse, the effect. But people don't realize that. Okay, so these are the kind of things I think will happen now in terms of sound and sound thinking. People will have to start doing sound thinking. Like, basically, like, because even in like 80s 90s, I saw this, there were movies, right? Like, and people went to the theaters, and there were these, most of the Hollywood movies had just sounds of, like, screechings and like glass breaking, loud sounds. The dialogue used to be very low, and these sounds, they used to make them very high and very high pitched and very screechy. The tires on the road, and they were recorded much more loud, and they were put through like a digital sort of thing, and they were made very that thing. So it created like a fragmentation in people's brains. Whosoever went to the theaters and heard all these sounds, came out with a fragmented brain. Okay. So point is this, like, this sound sort of war has been happening on humans for a while, you know, but humans have not realized that there has been a war, an assault. I mean, it's assault. I mean, if you take any Hollywood movie, and with the theater sounds, they had these big systems, and those systems were very cold as well, and they were very loud. And this was called the cinema experience. You're having a cinema experience, and basically you were being assaulted by these crazy sounds. you know, that's all, like, hundreds of times in a 1.5 hour flick. So and then that became people's home theater systems, with the TV and stuff, like these six speakers, and they were all very metallic, all cold sounding, no warmth there, no wood, no tubes, no high quality sound, nothing, you know. So so people have been basically, like, I mean, it has been such an assault. Like, just the food industry, like what kind of assault food industry has been. A sound industry has been even worse. But it's just that no one talks about.
That's very true. Yeah, we're all focused on, because they're hitting us from so many different angles that, yeah, we've got to focus on the food, we've got to focus on all these other things, and so many people haven't
Like,
noticed.
we have five senses.
Yeah.
So they can only hit us 5 ways. Okay, food is one, taste, okay, that thing. But the ears is important one. So while things are in Shravan, I thought it was best we talked about this and start the ball rolling in this direction. I think this is one of the first sort of talks on YouTube or internet in this regard.
It's very true.
Because,
I've never heard anyone else mention this aspect of it, and I think it's super important for people to incorporate this in their daily listening experience.
yes, I mean, this is the first sort of talk which is happening now. about this, and they should set some ball rolling, and people should start talking about this, you
Yeah.
know.
I'm curious
Bec-
for myself to experience the changes and see how it affects me.
yeah,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll do
yeah,
a video about it. Yeah, if it's some, profound shift, I would definitely
yeah.
share.
It will. I mean, yeah. Get yourself the tube amp, get yourself the speakers,
The headphone.
headphone one, old radio. They are there in America. A lot of them, and eBay you can find. Okay,
Yeah.
you know, and they're cheap, relatively, because people are throwing them.
I'll put links below too if
Yeah.
anybody else wants to get involved and try that for
Yes.
themselves.
Yes. Yes. So that's an important thing. Like this has to happen. Like now, like we were talking about the alternative things, like now, like the alternative structure getting created,
Mhm.
and this is another sort of area where this alternative structure will, you know, and I'm like developing my own tube amp with speaker with Bluetooth now, which people at some point I'll make it available for people so that you can just have a mobile and just connect it to that without wire, like
Oh,
so.
I would prefer wire though. I'm not too much of a fan of Bluetooth.
It'll have a wire connection too,
Oh, good. Okay.
but there are so many people who are just that thing
Yeah.
using that, but it is to them to enter into that world. There's no other way they're going to enter that world. Like you have to get, like, so it'll have the wire connections too, direct, and so I mean, best thing is to, obviously, if you have a laptop, then use a DAC, connect the laptop to a proper DAC, digital to audio, like analog converter,
Mm.
and then you get that analog signal, then you put it through a tube amp and put it through proper wooden speakers. That is the best way. Now, people think there's many things. Now we can combine the speakers and the tube amp all together for people, the tube amp and the speaker, so that people can actually listen to it. And it'll be wooden still. It'll be wood. So, and so that kind of thing, and the tax and stuff, people can start getting. There are many options now, for that.
The
So
what?
the digital analog converters, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
like, because that's where a lot of the thing is. The DAC has to be good, because in the sound card which we have inside a laptop or a mobile is usually not good enough, because they don't have the space to put a good enough card. That's why an external one is better
Mm,
to
okay.
do the digital to analog conversion.
You
Because
know,
finally, yeah,
I'm gonna do a video. I'll get those pieces that you talk about, and I'd
yeah.
love to do a demonstration to show what it looks like and how to get that working.
Yes, you should do that.
Yeah,
Okay, set the ball rolling in a sound
too.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, and because you've been into music and you've been into sound, so you should get the ball rolling in that way, you know.
Yes.
And my things and stuff, like you have been seeing, like I have another channel called PT's Game of Tones, like Game of Tones. It's YouTube.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
okay. I'll give you a link for that too.
Yeah.
Okay, and that I play different tube amps. Okay, from different eras, 40s, 50s, 60s, and things like that. Okay, so people can hear them directly and can compare this, like, organicness of them, and the sound frequencies and the complexity and all of that. You know, so it is like there was Game of Thrones and this is Game of Tones. Okay, it's just like so. So I mean, and people can actually, like, like, to get it for themselves. What the differences are. Rather than me saying it something. So you can actually, then you can, and best way to hear the channel is obviously back through a tube amp if you want to really get the nuances of it. But people can get something from that one. So I think it's a good thing. I'm quite pleased about this today, because this is something which needed to be talked about and needs to get out there, and it's not there right now at all. So this, like, how do we record and like reproduce sounds, you know, which
Absolutely.
are best for human intake. That's all. So that is an important thing, Julie.